A couple of safety things. So for this course, we'll be working with this board. This is an Arduino circuit board. So there's a few things to know about this. The first is if you look at the bottom of the board, you'll see that there are these metal connectors, and these are electrical pins. And these are not insulated electrically from whatever this is sitting on. So if you have your board on a conductive surface, like if it's on a metal table or something, you'll need to put a piece of paper underneath so you don't short out all your stuff. Then also, whenever this is plugged into power, so when this is plugged into the computer, you should make sure that you're not touching anything on the board, because you can short it out with your fingers and that can potentially damage the board, or in extreme cases, if you get really unlucky, maybe damage your computer. Although I think that's not very likely. The metal that's used in connecting some of the electrical stuff on here is not good for you health-wise. These are modern enough that it shouldn't be lead, but there's other nasty stuff in there. So don't eat or drink when you're working with the electronics, and wash your hands before you do and clean off your workstation and everything. We'll be using this thing for this class to make your electrical circuits. This is called a solderless breadboard, for historical reasons, which I'll be happy to explain if anyone cares. And so the way that this works is, you see there's rows and columns. So each row of 5 pins, or 5 connectors, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's connected. So this row is connected, the next row is connected to itself, the next row is connected to itself, and all the way down. So then what you do is, if you put something in, if we put connectors like this, where they're on the same row, these 2 wires are now electrically connected to each other. So this is a very easy way to make circuits. And so the rows are connected, and then on the side you see there's this red column and there's this blue column. That's connected all the way down. So all the ones in the red column are connected to each other, and all the ones in the blue column are connected to each other. And a lot of the time in prototyping, you'll use those for power connections. So to make a connection to this, there's some components you can plug in directly. For example, this thing, you can just plug it into your board like that, and then make your connections using the rows. But for some components, or if we need to connect multiple rows together, we use jumper wires. So in your kit, you should have some wires that look something like this. Maybe they're a bit longer, or the connectors are a little different, but they have this connector at the end. So you can just take those and plug them into your breadboard like that. And that's how you'll be making connections for the class. I think that's everything. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
Did you mention the power line and the ground line?
Yeah, so power line is the red one and ground is the blue one.
Yeah.
And okay. So I think for these lab sessions, we'll be doing breakout rooms where you're in a room of 3 or 4 people or whatever. And if you have a question, then you can click the ask for help, and one of us will do our best to help you. Oh, there is one other thing. If you're running a Mac, we found for some people yesterday, after you install the Arduino software, you might have to reboot your computer in order for it to work correctly with the USB. But try it first. If the USB doesn't work, then maybe reboot and that'll fix it. And I think that's everything, right?
So now I will go ahead and create breakout rooms if you don't have any questions for us. And once I create that, you will receive an invitation. And
so what are we doing exactly?
So if you go to Canvas, there's in week 2, there's a lab 2 PDF. Okay. That's your instructions, and there's a lab 2 submission page there.
Is that due at the end of this lab period?
Good question, good question. So that's due Wednesday at end of the day. So I think 11:59 on Wednesday.